Well, Mr. Hogg, welcome back to Georgian Public Broadcaster. Since our last meeting, you have already become officially head of EU's monitoring mission in Georgia. I want to congratulate you and wish you all the best results you can achieve during your work.
Thank you very much, Mariam. I'm looking forward to taking on this responsibility. As you say, I was appointed in December 2017 as the new head of the UMM.
Let's start our interview with the mandate of EUMM. Very often it's a subject of discussion, as well as you are not still allowed to cover whole territory of Georgia within its legal mandate. Let's say it's a key challenge for now. After 10 years since conflict, do you have some new vision to increase your mandate, to enter into occupied territory and work there?
I mean, as you're saying, the mandate from the beginning was to cover the whole of Georgia within its internationally recognized borders. We were denied access, and we still have performed an important role in monitoring and reporting what was going on at the ABL. I think it's important to remember what is the mandate of the UMM. We are not a conflict resolution organization. We are here to manage stability, to make sure that the conflict does not flare up, to manage incidents, hotspots, to be out at the ABL, the administrative boundary line, 24/7, to use the confidence building mechanisms that we have, the hotline, what we call the IPRMs, the incident prevention response mechanism, to look at the theater level, the operational level, and make sure that there's stability, that we follow the rights and the livelihoods of the conflict affected populations, as we call them, so men, women, children in villages along the ABL, IDPs. So it's important, I think, to understand the basics of the mandate. We haven't had access ever to the breakaways of Abkhazia and South Ossetia. It's regrettable. Of course, it is a problem in terms of discharging the mandate fully. We use other means to still follow developments there. I think we have a good impression, a good overview of what's going on, so we can, to some extent, monitor compliance, as we call it, with the 6-point agreement. We use technological means, and we're developing in that field. We use open source analysis. You know, we look at reports, what's coming up. So we still have a role to play. It's always difficult to assess the success of a mission like ours, because the question is, what would have happened if the UMM was not in place? And of course, my point of view is that we have been an important factor in stabilizing the situation and making sure there was no resumption of hostilities. We are an unarmed civilian mission. We are monitors, but our reporting goes to EU capitals and also the wider international community. We keep focus on the conflict, we report what we see, and we engage with security actors from all sides.
Let's look back. I mean, what are the main achievements that UMM had since its establishment in Georgia? Can you underline some results?
Sure. I mean, I think the fact itself that we have had stability, that we have managed incidents, is a success. Again, it's difficult to say what would have happened if the UMM was not there. But I think we have been constant in our role in stabilizing, engaging, using the formats we have. We are there 24/7. We have carried out 60,000 patrols since we started. Our monitors are observing what's going on. I think a major success is the hotline, a mechanism which creates communication on incidents, on developments that could undermine stability, that could create tensions. We have the IPRMs, as we call it, the incident prevention response mechanisms, in Nerneti and Gali, where all participants discuss issues which, again, could destabilize the situation, things that worry, developments that could create frictions. I think that's a major developments of major importance. When it comes to the rights and livelihoods of people who are affected by the conflict, we monitor this very closely. In some cases, we can provide information to other organizations that can help. To give you an example, sometimes we are aware of areas where there's mining, unexploded ordnances. We can inform NGOs, organizations that demine, and then farmers can access these land plots again. This is a very small, concrete example of the kind of things we can do to actually help people on the ground. So our presence is kind of, I think, helping at local scale people with some concrete problems. We discuss issues of irrigation also through the IPRMs and the hotlines. Sometimes we can create some cooperation so local farms can get water from channels which was not accessible before. And overall, of course, we remain in place as a stabilizing factor. And our reporting goes to EU capitals, it goes to the wide international community. And I think everybody understands we are there to observe and we do our job.
You mentioned hotline. There is no doubt that this is a very helpful instrument for sharing, getting information, but it still takes some time. Do you have some new plan to make it more effective, to let citizens have a straight access and get help via this line?
No, we always work on making the hotline more efficient. I think if you saw the hotline started as a mechanism, we had a few hundred activations during the year. Last year we had 1,650. So it's used every single day 4 or 5 times a day, and we have more and more activations on more and more issues. So it is becoming more efficient. It's important to understand what is the basis for this. This is, of course, a mechanism for communication between participants that do not have direct contact. The issues, political issues, which you're very well aware of, non-recognition, issues of lack of diplomatic relations. So somebody has to create that kind of hub for communication. And we have 2 hotline holders there 24/7 who get the calls and transmit them to other participants. This is an efficient mechanism. We get response quickly. We have records of what's happening. So I would say that generally speaking, we are happy with the way it works. All participants are really committed to this, and whenever there's an activation, be it at 2 o'clock in the morning, at 9 at night, there will be a response and there's communication. And communication is important in itself. In many cases, then we manage to get information which is useful for stabilizing and for helping people on the ground. Now, you ask a concrete question: would it be possible to allow citizens to call directly? I think you still need some kind of channel and filter because it's important also to understand what is the purpose of this. It's about stability, about issues related to the conflict. And I think presently people that need the activation of the hotline actually manage to have it done. We often have family members who are missing, a brother, a son, a father at the ABL, and wonder whether that person has been detained. They talk with the local police when it's on the Georgian, on the TAT side of the ABL. And then the hotline is activated by the Georgian police, the Georgian hotline holder. We get the information and the family then is informed. So it works, actually. Actually, it does help people, the local communities on a day-to-day level. But of course, there needs to be some filter. There needs to be kind of a mechanism. So there, we coordinate and we have some kind of focus on the issues which are relevant for the hotline. I've heard this idea before and understand where it's coming from, but in practical terms, I think it would be quite difficult to handle.
So, as I mentioned, you are new head of EU's monitoring mission in Georgia. What would be your strategy of developing this mission in future years? Do you have some kind of strategy?
I mean, I don't have a grand strategy in the sense that the mission, which I'm now heading, has a mandate which is extended for 1 or 2 years. This is done by the EU member states, who are our shareholders, so to speak. They provide support and have done so for 10 years. That's an important commitment by the EU to regional stability. We have 25 EU member states represented in our staff, and this is now the second biggest mission under the Common Security and Defence Policy, so an important commitment. So we will continue to have a mandate by member states, as long as member states believe that our role is important, and we are the only monitoring presence on the ground. We will continue to do the work as efficiently as we can. So I'm very focused on us being relevant, on being professional, and continuing to develop. So what can we do? We can be better in our reporting and more timely. We can engage more with the civil society organizations and the press to explain what we are doing, what our mandate is, and what our activities focus on. And continue doing basically what we have been doing for 10 years. I think everybody hopes that one day the UMM will not be necessary, because there is this conflict resolution ultimately will happen. There will be a peaceful resolution to the conflict. That's what everybody's hoping. Until that moment happens, we'll be on the ground and doing our job, which is basically monitoring, reporting, and making sure that stability, contribute to stability to the extent that we can. So very much focus, continue doing what we do. I think the mandate is very likely will continue more or less unchanged, the same focus. The basis will be the ceasefire agreement, which ended the war. focusing on stability, on confidence building, establishing communication and contacts, and also looking at the livelihoods, the rights of the conflict-affected population, villages, men, women, children, at the ABL and IDPs. So a high degree of continuity, but continue to be better at what we are doing, more relevant, unbiased, factual in our reporting. That's important.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hug. I hope to see you again here in Georgian Public Broadcasters.
I'm looking forward to being here again, Mariam. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.